Okay, again, this is a continuation from yesterday. So this is Semex 1. This is the study guide, and we're doing problem 17 to, we're going to try to get to 32 today. In problem number 17, you're asked to find the slope of a line. The line has the point -2, 9 and 8, -9. Alright, slope is rise over run. So the formula for slope is your y sub 2 minus your y sub 1 divided by your x sub 2 minus your x sub 1. Alright, here's your x1 and your y1, x2 and y2. So it becomes a substitution problem. We got -9 minus 9 divided by 8 minus -2. So -9 minus 9 would be -18. 8 minus -2 would be 10. This would simplify to negative. Those are both divisible by 2, so this would be -9/5. Number 18, write an equation in point slope form of the line through the point 9, -1 with a slope of 6. Point slope form, that is y minus y sub 1 equals the slope times x minus your x sub 1. Alright, so in this case, the point that's given, this is your x1 and your y sub 1. So you just replace. Alright? You're going to take the letter y. Now, it's minus your y sub 1, and your y sub 1 is already a -1, so it becomes y plus 1 equals your slope, which is 6, times x minus your x sub 1. So this would be minus 9. There's your equation in point slope form. Number 19. What is an equation for the line that passes through the points? Okay. In number 19, you're given 2 points. It's a multiple choice question. All of the choices are in point slope form. Or I'm sorry, all of the answer choices are in point slope form. So you're going to take these 2 points. First thing you're going to do is you're going to find the slope. So the slope of a line that goes through these 2 points would be 5 minus -1 in the numerator over 8 minus 10. So 5 minus -1 would be change would be 6 over 8 minus 10 is -2, and 6 divided by -2 would be -3. So the slope of the line that goes through these 2 points is -3. So now we're going to use this formula again, this point slope form. And we're going to use this point because all of the answer choices used the 10 and the 1. So we're going to go y and then the opposite of our y value. So it becomes y plus 1 equals the slope, which is -3, times the letter x and then the opposite of your x value, which would be -10. So there's your equation in point slope form for a line that goes through the 2 given points. In number 20, you're given that triangle QRS is congruent to triangle TUV. QS is equal to 3V plus 5. TV is equal to 8V minus 5. Find the length of QS and TV. Alright, Q and S. It's the first and third letter in this description. T and V, first and third letter in that description. So the two segments are congruent to each other. So your 3V plus 5 is equal to your 8V minus 5. So if you subtract 3V from each side, then 5 equals 5V minus 5. Add 5 to each side. 10 would equal 5V, and you can divide by 5. So 2 is equal to V. Now you can go back and substitute. So QS would be equal to 3 times 2 plus 5. And 3 times 2 is 6 plus 5 is 11. T to V is 8 times 2 minus 5, which is 16 minus 5, and that's 11 as well. So those are the lengths of your two segments. Number 21. Name the angle included by the sides NM and MP. Alright, if they want the angle included by the sides NM and MP, they both have an M in them. So it's angle M. If you highlight the sides, here's NM, this side, here's MP. There's the angle that's formed by the two sides. Okay, so angle M. Number 22. Can you use side angle side, angle side, or both to prove the triangle is congruent? Okay, in this case, you've got a side congruent to a side and an angle congruent to an angle. What they don't tell you, but you know, is that vertical angles are congruent. So these two angles in the middle of the bow tie are congruent to each other. So you've got an angle on a side, and an angle on a side. Alright? Side angle side needs two sides that are congruent. That's not happening. Angle side is what you've got. Two angles in a side congruent to two angles in the side. Alright, number 23 asks you to find the value of x. This triangle since it has two sides that are congruent to each other, it's an isosceles triangle. And in an isosceles triangle, the angles opposite the congruent sides are also congruent. So this angle down here in the bottom right is also x degrees. So now, these three angles inside the triangle have to sum 180. So you've got two x's plus a 44, that has to equal 180. So you can subtract 44 from each side. Your 2x is going to equal 136, and then divide by 2. $68. Alright, in problem number 24, you got triangle ABC, and then you got two triangles inside of it. Up top, you got two angles that are congruent, and two sides that are congruent. Angle C is 48 degrees. And here's your X, and here's your Y. Alright. In this big triangle around the outside, since these two sides are congruent to each other, since AC is congruent to AB, then this angle down here is also 48 degrees. Now, up top, you've got angle BAD that's represented by the Y. And these two angles are congruent. So this is also a Y. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to deal with this big triangle around the outside first. Because if we find angle A up top, we can divide it by 2 and get each of these angles, each of the Y's. So we've got two Y's plus a 48 plus another 48 that has to equal 180. So that's 2y plus 96 that equals 180. And you can subtract 96 from each side. So your 2y is going to equal 84 degrees. And then you can divide by 2. So your y is equal to 84 divided by 2 is 42. Now, if you know that this angle is 42 degrees, this y right here is 42 degrees, and you need angle x, now we're dealing with this small triangle, the green one. And you know two angles in the small triangle. So your x plus your 48 plus your 42 has to equal 180. So x plus 48 plus 42. X plus 90 equals 180. You can subtract 90. And your x equals 90 degrees, or 90. Alright, so there's your x, there's your y. In problem number 25, you're finding the value of x again. You have triangle SRT. SR is congruent to ST. which makes that an isosceles triangle. Angle R is 4x minus 40. Angle STU is equal to 6x. Alright, we said a minute ago that if two sides of a triangle are congruent, it's an isosceles triangle. If those two sides are congruent, then the angles opposite those sides are congruent. That means that this angle down here, STR, is equal to 4x minus 40 as well. Now, we talked about it yesterday. These two angles form a linear pair, and they sum 180. So your 4x minus 40 plus your 6x has to equal 180. So if you combine like terms, 4x and 6x, you get 10x minus 40 equals 180. You can add 40 to each side. Your 10x equals 220. And if you divide by 10, your x is equal to 22. What's that? In problem number 26, you're going to be dealing with a mid-segment. Okay, in this triangle, you've got a segment that connects the midpoints of two sides of a triangle. That makes it a mid-segment. This yellow segment is a mid-segment, which means that it's parallel to the green side and it's half of its length. Yellow is parallel to and half of 14. Alright, so your 2x minus 9 is equal to half of 14, which is 7. So if you add 9 to each side, your 2x is going to equal 16, and you can divide by 2. Your x equals 8. Problem 27 is another mid-segment problem. It's just dealing with a building and a tree. So you've kind of got this going on. This is your building. This is your tree. Since your tree represents a segment that connects the midpoints of two sides of a triangle, then the height of your tree is a mid-segment. You're told that the building is 180 feet tall. What is the height of the tree? It's the same principle as the last problem. Alright? The height of the tree, right here, is going to be half of 180. Okay? So the tree equals 1/2 of 180. So your tree equals 90 feet tall. Alright, number 28. Alright, let's see. Q is equidistant from the sides of TSR. So if Q is the same distance from both sides of the angle, then it sits on an angle bisector. So SQ in this case is an angle bisector. Find the measure of RST. So we need the measure of angle RST. And RST is this angle here. The entire angle. So we need to solve for x and then substitute. Alright, so since SQ is an angle bisector, these two angles are equal to each other. So your 3x plus 4 is equal to 8x minus 11. And you can subtract 3x from each side. So 4 equals 5x minus 11. And then add 11 to each side. 15 equals 5x and divide by 5. When you divide both sides by 5, you get x is equal to 3. So if x is equal to 3, we can substitute it for in either expression. So if we take 3 times 3 plus 4, it'll give us this green angle right here. So 3 times 3 is 9 plus 4, that's 13. So this angle right here is 13 degrees. But we need RST, we need the yellow angle. But these two angles are congruent, so this angle is also 13. Alright, so the measure of angle RST is going to be 26 degrees. Number 29, 3 security cameras were mounted in the corners of a triangular parking lot. So let's get our triangular parking lot. Camera 1 was 138 feet from camera 2. So camera 1, here's camera 2, and they're 138 feet apart. Which was 158 from camera 3. So here's camera 3, and these two are 158 apart. Cameras 1 and 3 were 100 feet apart. Which camera had to cover the greatest angle? Greatest. The greatest angle. The greatest angle is going to be opposite the longest side. So 158 is your longest side. That was supposed to be in green. Your longest side, so it is opposite your largest angle. So the greatest angle in this picture is angle 1, or in this case camera 1 covers the greatest angle. Number 30, which labeled angle has the greatest measure? So we've got a 1, a 2, and a 3. The diagram is not to scale. Okay, angle 3 in this case, this is called an exterior angle. It's made up of the extension of a side and its adjacent side. An exterior angle is equal to the sum of its remote interior angles. So in this case, angle 3 equals angle 1 plus angle 2. If you need the largest angle in this picture, it's angle 3. Okay? Because you have to add 1 and 2 together to get 3. Alright, number 31. Which of the following must be true? Diagram is not to scale. Okay, we got two triangles. ABC on the left. Two congruent sides and a 45-degree angle. Got triangle FGH on the right. Two congruent sides and a 57-degree angle. You've got two congruent sides and a 45-degree angle. So the side opposite the 45-degree angle is AC. On the right, you've got your two congruent sides, a 57-degree angle, and side FH opposite that angle. So look, side AC is opposite of 45, and side FH is opposite a 57. So the AC, side AC, has to be less than side FH. Because it's opposite a smaller angle. Okay, got a couple minutes left. We're going to try to get number 32 completed. What is a possible range of values for x? Okay, the range of values for x. In this picture here, we got a 2x, an angle 2x that's opposite of 22. We've got an angle that's 54 degrees, opposite of 30. The 2x is opposite a smaller side. So the 2x has to be less than the 54. So your 2x has to be less than 54. Since we're looking for a range of values, if the 2x is less than 54, it's got to be greater than 0. And this needs to be a 4 right here. Remember, when you're finding a range of values, you need a lower limit and an upper limit. So here's your compound inequality, and you can solve this by dividing the middle by 2, the right side by 2, and the left side by 2. So you're going to get 0 is less than x, which is less than 27. So that is your range of values for x to satisfy this problem. That's all I got for you. We will complete this study guide on Monday.